What up, what up? Welcome to my channel where we're doing music covers, original music, album reviews, song reviews, reactions, tier lists, a little social commentary here and there, whatever the day calls for. If you like what you see here, please subscribe to the channel. If you have content on here, I will subscribe to you as well. I am all about supporting up-and-comers on here. Today we are doing a review for the brand new EP from Anberlin called Convinced. Anberlin is a band that does not fit the mold of the kind of music I typically listen to, but I'm actually a longtime fan because of the way they deliver their music with so much heartfelt passion, a penchant for super strong hooks, and the way they have grown through their career has definitely evolved with my tastes in the genres that they choose to dabble in. My favorite album from this band is the one that got me started on them, which is 2005's Never Take Friendship Personal. But as the years have gone on, I feel like they have gotten a lot better at this more moody, electronic kind of sound that they really doubled down on with Dark is the Way, Light is a Place, Vital, and Lowborn. They called it quits in 2014, and their reasoning for doing so is it was something along the lines of they felt like they said all that they had to say, and they didn't want to come off as these old fat guys on stage who are well past their prime, something of that nature. I can't remember their exact words. It's been many years, but when they did that, they were way too young to be saying something like that. And I think not even 2 years went by before they started posting on social media about playing a show here, playing a show there, and it didn't take long for them to start feeling the itch again. And so even though it took them until last year to release a new entity of music, which was Silverline, their last EP, I wouldn't really have considered them inactive for very long. I have a review on my channel already for Silverline. I found it to be like a 7 out of 10 kind of release. Some really, really strong songs in the middle that I went back to quite a few times, and then a couple kind of duds. With how surprised I was that they already had another new release, I didn't really go into this with any expectations except maybe that it would just be a continuation of what they did on Silverline. 5 tracks, just like that EP was, so let's just get into this here. Number 1, Lacerate. This song I had already heard because it was released as a single prior to this full thing coming out. I dig that the visual intro in the music video, as well as some of the other shots, were reminiscent of the music video of Stranger Ways from Lowborn. That's all the familiarity you're really going to get here. The biggest difference is obviously the guitarist Christian doing the verses vocally alone, but this whole thing has a different vibe. There's a lot of layers on Steven's voice in the chorus, and where it sits in the mix makes the lyrics a little hard to decipher, and you kind of have to zone in on it and listen to it a couple times to really take it all in, and that's really my only complaint. Other than that, I wouldn't want the whole EP to sound like this, but I dig it. And I definitely dug it more than the opener to the previous EP, Silverline, Two Graves. Number 2, Decoder. Steven, the vocalist, the main vocalist, sounds strained here. And again, I didn't really like where his voice sat in the mix here. I'm glad this was a short track because I found it pretty uninteresting. If all the instrumental portion of a song is going to do is be a backing vehicle for the vocalist, it should have a more interesting hook than this. I didn't like this one. They can definitely do better than this. Moving on. Number 3, Banshee. I said this in my review for Silverline. I just said it a little bit ago here, and I'll say it again. At this point in their career, I think Anberlin do much better when they aren't showing us that they can still rock and lead into this side of their sound. I was getting worried after Decoder about the direction of this EP, but this is much better. It's not the best synth pop song they've done, but it'll grow on me for sure. Number 4, Animals. The lyrics, vocals, and vocal presentation here I found to alternate from kind of corny to lazy in most of this, with some parts that worked. However, the dirty sounding, pounding electronic beats with the fuzzy guitars in the background I found very enjoyable. So I don't really know yet 100% how I feel about this one. The music was great, but I think Steven could have done better here vocally and lyrically. How are we closing this thing out? Number 5, Nothing More. We're going moody here. And we're going back to the days of my favorite album from this band, Never Take Friendship Personal, in closing this album with a 7+ minute epic song. I was bored at first. Then I really zoned in on the lyrics, and they're basically depicting someone trying to prove their love to a partner who is doubting that love. And on some real shit, I kind of don't really care for these kind of lyrics. They kind of take me back to times that I've been in that position and have went out of my way to prove my love to people, previous partners that, you know, kind of played that whole insecure bit and then ended up, you know, leaving me for pieces of shit. It's like you got the hurt and then you got the insult on injury when you find out who they leave you for, you know, like being that, like, their previous EP, Silverline, had a song called Asking. And if you watch my review on that, I talked about how the subject matter of that track took me back to some personal experiences of, you know, times where partners would want to know a lot about me early on before I'm ready to share that information, and times where I was so infatuated with a person that I wanted to know a lot about them before they were wanting to share it. And, you know, that was just kind of introspective, and I really enjoyed that song. Like, these lyrics here, they don't really take me to a good place personally, so I kind of had a bias to dislike this song going into it. Another reason for this is because, once again, the lyrics are presented in a fashion that is well beneath what Steve Christian is capable of. So from an artistic perspective, not just on this song, but kind of on this whole thing, I feel like the lyrics are just way too, just kind of lazy. At first, when I was listening to this, I kind of wanted to turn it off, but I kept it on. The music gets so good as it goes on, and being that the song is as long as it is, of course it's going to try to set onto this steady feel, this repetitive chord progression and mood and vibe, and it does draw you in. And what can I say? It's a really good track, man. It's a really good track. It's a really good closer. I can think of some of their albums that didn't have closers as good as this. It's no Dance, Chris Pathogen or whatever that song was called. It's no Finn, but it's definitely better than the closer on New Surrender was. Anberlin jump on the saxophone bandwagon here, and it suits the song extremely well. This song will definitely do more for some listeners than it does for me, even though it definitely did evoke some emotions for me. But the vibe here and the emphasis on atmosphere here is undeniable. I think I rated Silverline a 7 out of 10, and that's also what I'm going to rate this album. Silverline had the gold of the project in the middle, in the form of, I'm going to try to remember these track names here. Nothing Lost, Foreign Language, was it called? And Asking. With this one, Lacerate is pretty good, and it's definitely a better opener than Silverline had, but I would say, you know, that's a good opener. And then Banshee and this closer here kind of carried it. I'm not quite sure how I feel about Animals, and Decoder isn't the worst song Anberlin have ever done. I would say that's Dissenter. For the first time ever, I'm going to say that the weakest link on this thing was probably Steven with his lyrics. The lyrics are really lazy. There are points where he sounds strained, and then the way the production is here, there are points in the rock sections where it's all just like everything is turned up to 11 so much that the vocals are just kind of just not in a good place in the mix. Yeah, I'm going to rate this a 7 out of 10. Again, just the fact that we're hearing new music from these guys when we didn't know if they were ever going to make music again a couple years ago. With the two EPs combined and their best tracks. You got a short little mix CD here. Yeah, it's good. It's not great. There are parts I liked, parts I disliked, and you know, the the best stuff of their career. I mean, this doesn't really touch it, but we could just not be hearing music from them at all anymore. So, yeah, I'm going to give us a 7 out of 10. If you're a fan of this band, I'd definitely check it out. And that's all I got to say about this one, guys. So until next time, thanks for watching.